Welcome to the Sales and Marketing for Decorators podcast with me, John Mears, and today I am joined by the legendary Jonathan Graham, JG Decorator. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure. So I want to dive straight into it this week, and I want to talk about Instagram for decorators. How can decorators be using it? How can you get business from it? Or what else can you get out of Instagram? It seems to be growing in popularity a lot with decorators, I think, because it's a very visual platform, and decorating is. So I know that you're quite prolific on Instagram. How do you find it, and what sort of things do you use it for as a decorator?
So, yeah, I've been using social media for work for a number of years now. Originally, I was one of the first decorators to be on Twitter. And I've been on Twitter for over 10 years now. And not long after that, not long after that, Instagram came about, and like you mentioned, Instagram is definitely more of a visual medium, which is brilliant for tradespeople, especially decorators. It's such a visual medium, with color and texture and form and architecture and things like that. I think Instagram lends itself perfectly as a platform and part of your business model as well for decorators.
Yeah, I think I often say if I was going to design a social media platform for decorators, it would look almost exactly like Instagram. I think everything is there. I think the culture of Instagram, I think, is good. It's different to Twitter. It's different to Facebook. It's a bit more arty. It's a bit more friendly, I find. There's less people on there ranting and raving and everything like that. And I think, for me personally, one of the most powerful things in marketing as a whole is the before and after photo, and being able to showcase decorating work before and after photos on Instagram and the way it's laid out. I think it's a potential goldmine for decorators if they use it correctly. Have you managed to get many clients as a result of Instagram, or do you just use it as a sort of, here's my general portfolio and lead customers there to have a look at some of your work? How do you use it?
Yeah, principally, I use Instagram as a portfolio of my work. So the images that I take are very stylized. They're quite picture ready. I might add a filter. It might be at a certain angle. I've got my phone on me all the time. And occasionally, the light is coming through a window at a particular time of day that just lends to, quite, as you said, an artsy picture. So what I try and do is have that as my portfolio. I know that there are many decorators that, and this is the amazing thing, the great thing about kind of social media, but Instagram in particular, is that you'll have lots of different decorators on there, and they will use it to be kind of almost like a project book for their projects. So you'll have an image, a post where there's several images where you'll have like before, during, and after shots, which are fantastic. You'll have stories as well where you can tell people about how your day's going. I use that on a regular basis. Sometimes you'll find me with a funny hat on, or posting something ridiculous, or just saying how a project's going. And also posting my mistakes as well, which is another really important thing, and I'll come back to that later. And so the medium is there for you to craft however you want it to be. It's such a versatile thing. For me as well, I've not for the nearly over a decade that I've been using social media, I've had one client through it. It was a client in Manchester. So I've not really had the traction of like clients coming to my social media and, you know, me getting work that way.
Yeah.
But I know that there are many, many tradespeople and many decorators who have used like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and have just quadrupled their kind of income because of it. It is a fantastic medium.
Yeah, I think you can get direct results from social media if you run ads, and you'll get people messaging you and asking for quotes and things like that. But I think there are a lot of hidden benefits, particularly with something like Instagram, because if someone was to Google you, on the first page, one of the links will probably be to your Instagram page. And most people will then look at that because they'll think, well, this is going to be a great portfolio of what this decorator is capable of. So I think it's important to have a good social media presence as a decorator. Even if you don't think you're getting work, people aren't messaging you directly on the platform saying, I want you to work because I've seen this picture on Instagram. I think the fact that it's there, people are definitely looking at it, and it's a consideration. And I think you talked about the versatility of Instagram, and I think that's a really important point. Something I often talk to decorators about is not just showing off your work, but also trying to educate end users and customers on the value you're bringing and how you're achieving the results you do. And I think that's something that you do really quite well, whether you're aiming those story videos at homeowners. I know you do a lot to support other decorators and giving them tips and things like that. But I think having your main photos with your before and afters and your artsy photos and everything like that, I think that's great. But then using the stories to go, right, here's some behind the scenes shots. This is what the project looks like on day 2 when I've spent all day sanding and filling and stuff like that. And here's the stuff that you as a homeowner probably don't see, but it's the reason your walls look brand new again when I've finished.
Yeah.
I think it's really important for decorators to do that, and stories is a great way because it's 24 hours and it's gone. So even for people that are a bit more camera shy and don't want that permanent thing on social media, I think using stories is something that decorators could really use a lot more. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the posts which I put are for me, the way that I use it, they're very stylized, they're quite artsy. But when it comes to the stories, it's my day-to-day kind of, what I'm doing from one minute to the next.
Yeah.
I might do a post on, my coffee machine. I'll put a post on what brushes I'm using on a particular job, and I'll get some traction with that. I'll post something about a question that I might have. And this is one of the great things about social media is that, like for me, I'm still learning. There is a level, within the trades, there's not only a level of experience through years, but there's a level of experience by being bloody good at what you do.
Yeah.
And it's aspirational as well, I think. And you can look at someone's work and go, wow, the quality of that work is fantastic. There's a lot of contractors in the US that are achieving some work which I never thought was possible, but through basically cyber stalking them and learning how, and just asking them questions. I think I understand and ask a question. The majority of people will contact you back and say, oh yeah, I did it this way. I know I try and make it a thing for me that if someone sends me a message, I'll message them back. Because I'm dyslexic, I tend to not type stuff out. I'll do the voice memo instead. I'm able to get a lot more information, and I think it's just a bit more friendly as well. You don't get the nuance of voice as you do in the written word. And I think people appreciate that you've taken the time to actually do it. Whereas in reality, it's taken me 30 seconds to send this message. It's no time at all.
Yeah, I love that, and I can back up what you're saying there, because not only have obviously we connected via Instagram and you've sent me voice messages like that, but I've spoken with other decorators who've said, do you know what, that JG, he's actually a good guy. I sent him a message and he came back to me quite quickly and said XYZ, and I was like, all right, well, yeah. But I think that's important. And
I paid them really well to say that.
So yeah, I mean,
I'm actually a really horrible person. I'm a really horrible person in real life. I pay all of these people money to say nice things about me.
Well, it's working. It's working. I think.
I'm so too. I pay them an absolute fortune.
Brilliant. Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought now. Instagram. That's what we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. The culture of it, I really like, because as you were saying, you've got that. Here's the perfect artsy work, but the stories, I think a lot of decorators don't understand how to use stories properly, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. Is stories, they don't have to be perfect, and people don't want them to be perfect. Your main profile, that's for all your perfect, here's how wonderful everything looks. Your stories is just me, and it's great for showing your human side, and I think that's really important for when you're in a trade. I think a lot of decorators underestimate how nervous someone might be about contacting a tradesperson, making that initial phone call or something like that, whatever it is. And so they will sort of stalk you for a little while, and they'll check out your social media and stuff, and they might not reach out to you directly on social media. But if you've got story videos up and it's just you making your morning coffee or doing a little bit behind the scenes and just acting natural, then you can start to build a connection with that person and learn a bit more about them, and it makes it a lot easier for customers to reach out to you as a tradesperson. So I think it's something that decorators really should think about doing more often, even if they are quite uncomfortable perhaps being on camera.
Yeah, and I think that is a bit of a tricky one. That I know I've corresponded with other decorators, and they've said to me, I can't do what you do. I can't be in front of a camera and talk about something. But I mean, it's not necessarily about that. I can do that. I've had my own history, my own heritage is standing on a pulpit and preaching. But when also being a teacher as well, I've had that training, that kind of that way of life where you get in front of people and you talk. So that comes naturally to me, but that's because of 30 years worth of kind of doing it. But I know a lot of tradespeople, they're not very comfortable or confident in front of the camera. But it's not necessarily about that. It's just about you being you. It could be you just asking a simple question or just showcasing what you're doing from a simple video. I think we're talking about it in relation to other decorators seeing work, but the idea behind it is that this is a platform for potential clients to look at. So not only do they see the finished images, but they see the person who produces that work. And if they know that you are a normal person, you have a family, you've got likes, you've got dislikes, and then they will feel perhaps a bit more comfortable having you in their home for an extended period of time, especially during the pandemic and things like that. And because of that, it just puts people perhaps a bit more at ease, and it might be the difference between you getting a job and not getting a job. If they can look at two quotations and maybe in your quotation, you've directed them, to please check out my social media. Hopefully my standard of work can meet with your expectations, so on and so forth. Then they look at that and they go, actually, not only does he do a good job, he's, he or she, should I say, the tradesperson, he's a really nice person as well. And that might make the difference between you getting a job or not getting a job.
I think that's hugely important at any time, but particularly at the moment. Yeah, I think inviting someone unknown, any sort of tradesman, into your home, it's a very personal space. So anything a tradesman can do to ease that has got to be a good thing, really. I mean, I think people will always feel uncomfortable having a tradesman in their house for what can be weeks, months on end sometimes, can't it? So building that relationship via social media has got to be a good thing. The getting on video is difficult, and I completely understand that, and I've been on my own sort of journey with that. And my advice to decorators is just give it a go and start being behind the camera and maybe just narrating over the top and talking, and just try little short videos. And it's one of those, I think realistically, it probably only took me 2 or 3 weeks of trying before I got reasonably comfortable in front of camera. I had to force myself to do it on an almost a daily basis for a couple of weeks. And then you just get to the point where you just stop caring as much. You're like, all right, so I stuttered. All right, so I messed up the intro on that video. And you just think, wow, whatever, I'm human. Maybe I sound a bit wooden in that video. Who cares? And I think one of the biggest things for me was when I first started putting the videos out, I was really worried about them. And then about 48 hours, you look at it, and only about 6 people have watched it anyway. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter, does it? You're like, oh, it's all right. When you're bad at making the videos, no one's watching them anyway. And then as you grow and you start making more and more videos, then more followers come in, and by that point, you're better at it anyway. So it's one of those. I think it's really worth trying and giving it a couple of weeks. If you're not comfortable with it after a couple of weeks, then fine, at least you tried it. But I think the benefits are massive for decorators and any tradesman, really.
And I think one of the positive things to come out of what seems to be a kind of 2-year period of a bit of a weird year is that now we're developing a really close-knit kind of decorating culture on Instagram, and there are known quote-unquote personalities. And I think what's one of the real nice things about that is that, for people like, say, myself and others who are part of maybe a group of other decorators who kind of use social media on a regular basis, is that we're almost spearheading an engagement with a new generation of young people who are interested in getting into the trade. I've had some, just very recently, I've had some really nice comments from people who are new into the trade, and not necessarily young people, but older people who have had a career change, who are engaging with other decorators, such as myself, and are being encouraged and enthused to try something different. Maybe look at a new way of doing things, maybe spraying or dustless sanding or new types of brushes. It's very small things, but I think that's one of the great things. We're able to encourage people, not only the general apprentices, as well, to really be passionate about this work and this craft and this trade that goes back thousands and thousands of years. I always joke with my clients that 100,000 years of modern man. The only difference between our ancient ancestors and me is that when it comes to painting, I don't wear a loincloth when I'm doing any painting.
That's good to hear.
In essence, it's well, the clients
That's extra, is
clients
it?
can pay it. Yeah, clients can pay a bit extra for that. But you know, this trade goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You know, and to be part of, you know, one person who encourages someone else to take up this trade, it's a truly humbling experience. But it kind of gives me the passion to go, you know what, I'm feeling a bit down today. I might not do a video, but you know what, I might do a video about the fact that I'm feeling down.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a crap day. This job hasn't gone right. Not everything that you see on like social media is perfect. Sometimes it goes wrong, and I think even the bad days can encourage and educate people to, you know, view the work done in a slightly.
Yeah, I think it's really important that having that open and honest way of looking at things on Instagram. And you mentioned earlier about you'll quite happily air the mistakes you've made and stuff like that. And I think that's really important for, I mean, certainly people that are new to the trade. It's great for them to see, okay, here's an experienced decorator. It's great to see that he balls up just like I do sometimes. And I think there is, sometimes it can be on different platforms, Facebook maybe in groups and stuff, everything's just got to be too perfect. And if you don't do everything perfectly, then you get slated by other decorators. I feel like Instagram has a different feel to it. It's sort of, Instagram's a bit more of a safer space. You can go, right, yeah, I'm having a rubbish day today, or I've absolutely messed this one up, and people just look at it and go, sort of, I'm glad it's not just me that does these things, because everybody makes the mistakes, whether you show them or not. So I think it's all credit to you for putting those out on social media. I think that is part of what makes it so much more accessible for people, which is really important, I think.
And I think what's helpful as well is to offer solutions to, you know, I posted recently about cutting in, and I was open and honest to say sometimes it didn't go right, and I've made a mistake, which I had. It was a very uneven wall, and I just slightly gone onto the ceiling, just a little bit more than I wanted to. So the solution is that you just have a flat pitched brush, and you can just edge out the ceiling colour just to sharpen up that line. It's a little simple solution, but for someone like an apprentice who doesn't have that experience, or even a homeowner who's doing kind of lockdown painting and decorating, they don't know the solutions to the problems that they might come across. So me just doing, you know, it's a problem, but here's a workable solution as well. And I think that is really good as well.
Yeah, it's got to be the two parts to it. You've got to say, right, I've messed this up, but fortunately for you, it's not the first time I've messed this up, and it won't be the last time. Here's how you fix it. And it's great to see the human side of that. And because you can't just be robots, and you can't perfectly cut in all the time, and you can't get everything right all the time. It's good. I think it's good for everyone's mental health to see that other people like them do mess it up, and you can often learn from each other from going, oh, that's how you deal with that mistake.
Well, we've all kicked over a tin of paint.
At least once a week, I see a post like that. Someone's tipped over a tin. It's horrible.
We've all, in my case, or set fire to a client's carpet, as I did.
Do you know, I had a message from a friend who's a decorator this morning, who he went into a workshop, turned on the electric heater, walked off to go and make his coffee, came back, place is full of smoke. he'd left, well, he said the chippy had left one of his cabinet doors resting up against that electric heater. So big black mark all over it, almost caught fire. I was just like, these things happen, don't they? It's just, if you're gonna do a full-time job like this for thousands of hours over years and years and years, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes along the way. So just accept them and learn from them, and share them with everyone else. Have a laugh out of it, at least.
Yeah. And then
Brilliant.
clean it up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. You've always got to clean it up. No, that's really brilliant. Thank you so much for that. So, final verdict then. Let's talk about Instagram for decorators. Do you think decorators need to be on Instagram?
Yes, I do. I think it's for one, it is free to set up an account, to post a picture. It's free. It's very easy to link any of that information to give to prospective clients. I've had some business cards printed with the details to my Instagram account onto my business card. It's part of my business model. It's part of my business practice. Give a client a card, say, you can find me on Instagram, have a look at my details, have a look at my work. If you're happy with it, great. So yeah, it's free, it's easy, and you get a lot of benefit, but also you're part of a growing family of tradespeople who are learning, supporting, and encouraging each other during a very difficult period.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Couldn't put it better than that. So, all right. So for all these hundreds of decorators that are going to be joining Instagram after listening to this, their first follower can be Mr. JG then. How do they find you on Instagram?
You can find me JG Decorator. You can find me on there. I post once or twice every so often, but yeah, you can find me there. And JG Decorator on Twitter as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. You can find me on there as well at jmears.co.uk, and on Twitter is at johnmears10, or just go to my website jmears.co.uk and can find out all the information there. JG, thank you very much once again. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
No, thank you for inviting me. Really enjoyed it. Thanks.
No problem. I'll be trying to rope you back in for another episode sometime soon.